What's up, y'all? It's a Koski of Fun Day. Back at it once again. Much love to y'all subscribing to the channel, watching the channel. Much love. And this right here, you know what I'm saying, what you're looking at is the Daniel Moynihan Deny Neglect. This is the straight report that he wrote to the President Nixon at the time. And we're gonna go over this because people talking about, well, the season of benign neglect is over. So I'm just dropping this down to explain it to you what benign neglect is, coming straight from the Nixon Library.gov. You know what I'm saying? So you can have an understanding what benign neglect is. All right. As you see, it says from the White House, Washington. I said it's from Nixon Library.gov. You know what I'm saying? Let's go. Memorandum for the President. As a new year begins to occur to me, you might find it useful, a general assessment of the position of the Negroes at the end of your first year of your administration, in a decade in which their position has been central to the domestic political issue, right? So as it states right here, we had a decade where our position have been central to the domestic political issue. So nothing moved without Black folks, you know what I'm saying, in the 60s, basically. Nothing moved without Black folks being a systematic issue. Everything we was fighting for our rights and all that stuff like that. In quantitative terms, which are reliable, the American Negro is making extraordinary progress. In political terms, somewhat less reliable, this also appears to be true. In each case, however, there will seem to be countercurrents that pose a serious threat to the welfare of Blacks and the stability of society, white and Black. 1. Income. The 60s saw a great breakthrough for Blacks. A third of all Negro families and other races earned $8,000 or more in 1968, compared to constant dollars, with 15% in 1960. The South is still a problem. Slightly more than half, 52% of the Negro population lived in the South in 1969. So half of the Black people lived in the South in 1969. There are only 19% of families of Negro and colored races earning over 8,000, excuse me. Young Negro families are achieving income parity with white families. Outside the South, young husband and wife Negro families have 99% of the income of whites. So two-parent homes have 99% of the incomes of whites. All right? For families headed by a male age of 25 to 34, the proportion is 87%. So that's the time we was getting married around this time, 25 years to 34 years old. Thus, maybe the ancient gap is finally closing. Income reflects unemployment, and it has changed dramatically in the 60s. Blacks continue to have twice the unemployment rates of whites, but these are down for both groups. In 1969, the rate for married Negro men and other races was only 2%. Teenagers, on the other hand, continued their appalling rates of 24.4% in 1969. Black occupations improved dramatically. The number of professional and technical employees doubled in the period of 1960 to 1968. This was 2.5 times the increase for whites. In 1969, Negroes and other races provided 10% of other than college teachers. This is roughly proportional to their population, which is 11% at the time. 2. Education. In 1969, 19% of Negro children, 3 and 4 years old, were enrolled in school. 1968, compared to 15% of white children. So our kids are going to school. 45% of Negroes 18 and 19 years old weren't in school, and almost equal to the white proportion of 51%. Negro college enrollment rose 85% between 1964 and 1968. By the time there was 434,000 Negro college students. The total number of full-time university population of Great Britain is 200,000. So we have more at the time in Great Britain, so-called college enrollments. The education achievement gap should not be exaggerated. Only 16% of Negro high school seniors have verbal test scores at or above grade level, but Blacks are staying in school. 3. Female head families. The problem does not get better, it gets worse. In 1969, a proportion of husband and wife's family of the Negro and other races declined once again, this time from 68.7%. The legitimate ratio rose once again, this time to 29.4% of all live births. The white ratio rose more sharply, but it was still at only 4.9%. Increasingly, the problem of Negro poverty is a problem among the female head of family. Let me read this once again. Increasingly, the problem of Negro poverty is the problem of the female head of family. You know, in 1968, 56% of Negro families with income under 3,000 were female headed. In 1968, for the first time, the number of poor Negro children and female headed families, 2.2 million, was greater than the number of male headed figures, 1.9 million. So this is where we see the dramatic changes that are come about. Social pathology, number 4. The incidence of antisocial behavior among young Black males continue to be extraordinarily high. Apart from their white racial attitudes, this is the biggest problem Black America face. Apart from their white racial attitudes, this is the biggest problem that Black America face. And in part, it helps shape the white racial attitudes. Blacks injure one another because Blacks live in de facto segregated neighborhoods and go to de facto segregated neighborhoods, and socially stable elements of the Black population cannot escape the social pathology ones. So they're saying because we're in these segregated neighborhoods and live in them and stuff like that, you know, the other Blacks can escape these certain type of groups of Blacks when they call socio-pathological ones. You know, that's a broad brush, you know what I'm saying? But the social stable elements of the cannot escape the social pathology. Routinely, their children get caught up in antisocial patterns of the other. You are familiar with the problem of crime. Let me draw your attention to another phenomenon, exactly parallel and originating in the same social circumstance. Fire. Unless I make a mistake in the trends, we're headed for a genuinely serious fire problem in American cities. In New York, for example, between 1956 and 1969, the overall fire alarm rate was more than tripled, from 69,000 alarms to 240,000 alarms. These alarms are concentrated in slum neighborhoods, primarily Black. In 1968, one slum area had an alarm rate per square miles of 13 times that of the whole city. And the number of alarms has, on average, increased 44% per year for 7 years. Many of these fires are results of population density. We now look at confined spaces and it's getting packed. But a great many or more or less are deliberately set. Thus, on Monday, welfare supporters set 2 fires at the New York State Capitol. Fires are, in fact, a leading indicator of a social pathology or a neighborhood. They come first, crime and arrest follows. A psychiatric interpretation of fire setting is complex, but it relates in the types of personalities which the slums produce. At a point of possible interest, fires in the Black slums peak in July and August. Urban riots of 1964 to 1968 could be thought of as an epidemic condition of an endemic situation. 5. Social alienation. With no real evidence, I suggest that a great deal of crime, the fire setting, rampant school violence, and other such phenomena in the Black community has been quasi-politicized. Hate revenge against whites is now a acceptable excuse of doing what might have been done anyway. This is bad news for any society, especially when it takes from the form in which the Black Panthers have seemed to adopt it. The social alienation among the Black lower classes is matched and probably enhanced by a very form of anti-white feeling among portions of the large and prospering Black middle class. It would be difficult to overestimate the degree in which this young, young, educated Blacks detest white America. There is no Black upper class, really. You know what I'm saying? So They're just like, kind of like upper middle. The Nixon Administration. Number 6. You have candidly acknowledged the relations of the administration to the population, the black population, is a problem. As you have candidly acknowledged the relation of the administration to the black population is a problem. I think it also to acknowledge that we have a long way from solving it. During the past year, intense effort have been made by the administration to develop programs that will help blacks. I dare say, as much or more time and attention goes to the effort of administration than any in history, but little has come of it. There's been a great deal of political ineptness in some departments, and you have been the loser. I don't know what you could do about this, perhaps nothing, but I have 4 suggestions. 1, sometime early in the year, I would gather together administration officials who are most involved in these matters and talk out the subject a bit. There's really a need for more coherent administration approach to the number of issues, which I can list for you if you like. 2, the time has come that the issue of race could benefit from a period of benign neglect. All right, this is where the policy coming from. He had to build that up. So he's giving Nixon some views. And this is the one that came number 2 was benign neglect. The subject has been too much talked about. We've seen this happen again before in our lifetime. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't see a Black Lives Matter movement no more. It's not around. What happened to it? The form has been too much taken over to hysterics, paranoias, and brutals of all sides. We may need a period in which the Negro progress continues and racial rhetoric fades. The administration can help bring about this by paying close attention to such progress as we are doing, while seeking to avoid situations in which extremists of either race are given opportunities of martyrdom, heroics, histrionics, or whatever. All right? So they're not even going to give you the media coverage. You know what I'm saying? They ain't going to show that. They're going to show something different. So, it's going to be contained to that local area, whatever. People, I don't know if they can do that now with the internet, but we'll see. Greater attention to Indians, Mexican Americans, and Puerto Ricans will be useful, right? They don't pay attention to other minority groups. Indians, Mexican Americans, and Puerto Ricans will be useful. A tendency to ignore provocation from groups such as the Black Panthers might also be useful. The Panthers were almost defunct until the Chicago police raided one of their headquarters and transformed it into co-heroes for white and Black middle class. Perhaps you did not know on the Chief Society page of the Times that Mrs. Leonard Bernstein gave a cocktail party on Wednesday to raise money for the Panthers. Mrs. W.V. Astor was among the guests. Mrs. Peter Dutchin, the rich blonde wife of the orchestra leader, was thrilled. I never met a Black Panther. This is a first for me. So now the rich white elites is kind of, they getting, white liberals and stuff like that. They want to put more money into it. It's like a cheap project for them. Third, we ought to be getting to own a research of crime. We just don't know enough. It's a year now since the administration came into office and committed doing something about the crimes in the streets. But frankly, in that year, I don't see how we advance either of our understanding of the problem or that of the public at large. This, of course, may reveal my ignorance of what's going on. At risk of discretion, I put that my lawyers are not professionally well equipped to do much to prevent crime. Lawyers are not managers. They are not researchers. The logistics and the ecological and the strategy and the tactics of reducing the incidence of certain type of crime behavior in large urban populations simply are not things lawyers think about often. We are never going to learn about crime in laboratory sense, but we almost could profit from unlimited, carefully done studies. I don't think these are done unless there's a special personal interest. Number 4. Number 4 is important too, and it's not really talked about with the blind neglect process. So you know what I'm saying? But this is very important. Number 4, there's a silent Black majority as well as a white one. It is mostly working class as against lower middle class. It is politically moderate on issues other than racial equality and shares mostly concern of its white counterpart. This group has been generally ignored by the government and the media. More recognition we can give to it, the better off we shall be. So now they're going to pick this group, you know what I'm saying? This group of blacks, hype them up and put the media attention on them, and keep the media focused on them. As long as they're not too racial, or you know what I'm saying, or no concerns of their white counterparts. This group should be equally generally ignored by the government and the media. More recognition we can give to it, the better off we should be. I will take an example for the ambassador Holland is a natural leader of this segment of the black community. There are others like him. So he named a guy too. That Ambassador Holland, you know, I don't know who that is, I want to find out. But number 4 is very important in the deny neglect, you know what I'm saying, policy thing. What you see going on today, you know what I'm saying? This class really can't talk about too much of racial equality, you know what I'm saying? Because that, you know, it makes them too much, so that makes it politically moderate. I see these political pundits, these are straight picked out straight from the handbook, baby. You know what I'm saying? And shares with the white middle class. You know what I'm saying? So they talk about class and socialism and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? They deny the race issue. You know what I'm saying? These are blacks among us. This group has been generally ignored by the government and the media. The more recognition we can give to it, the better off we shall be. So that's they're gonna hype out as the model as a new black. You understand? And that's how they've been doing it for the past. This came out in 1970. That's what they've been doing for the damn near the past 50 years. Picking a select leadership, and then if there's somebody they consider extreme, they block them. You know what I'm saying? That person, or they isolate that person to a sort of marginal side. You know, that person talking some real shit. You know what I'm saying? So that's how they play the game. This is how the game is being played still today. And we take the focus off of black people, and we do deny neglect. We put down Indians, Mexican Americans. You know what I'm saying? What's a new hot group? Gays. You know what I'm saying? They just keep on cutting it. They'll make a new group up. Amish. You know what I'm saying? They'll make some shit up. You know what I'm saying? White women, that's a group. You know what I'm saying? They just keep breaking it down. They just keep breaking it on down to different type of groups like that. So it will stay away from the race issue. You know? While black people was getting during the Obama administration, while they had them riots, there was a lot of riots going on. While black people was getting killed, what they used to stay away from the race issue? They used the gay marriage thing. You know what I'm saying? Looking real time, remember back to that time. They started pumping up the gay community, whack, 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 to take it off the race issue. You know what I'm saying? And once that started fading off and falling out, what they gonna pump up next? They pumped up women. You know what I'm saying? Now they're trying to do divide and conquer. You know what I'm saying, in the black community. Now they're trying to pump up straight black women, gay black male. You know what I'm saying? Because it's all what we talked about earlier in the paper, the same thing about the social alienation of the black male. You know, how we gonna, you know, how can get them out this so-called antisocial behavior? You know what I'm saying? So they gonna pump up this as a new role model. This is some good stuff. This is straight from the Nixon library, so it's a real document, just like Memorandum 46. You know, this stuff, you know, this is how they plot on your ass. You know what I'm saying? You gotta, you know, we gotta have stuff like this to have discussions, talk about this. You know, this is really worth the subject and worth the knowing how and the matter. So that's what dividing neglect is dividing our attention away from black people specifically, because this is a black doc about black people specifically. Shift attention away from black people to other groups. And then have black bootlicks put the focus on them and what they're talking about. And they don't get too racial. They might say a little bit of something racial to get the, you know, the black people in there every once in a while. Most of the time they agree with the white folks, what they're saying. Anyway, this is Koski of Fun Day. Much love. You know what I'm saying? Like dropping this on to y'all. Y'all still been subscribe to the channel. Peace.